best part of that might have been the looks they gave one another at the end of that. It was so sweet. Thank you. So I think I'm just going to have a little, whatever, side conversation with you very quickly, which is that. So, two things. So, your birthday is on December 16th, and mine is the 22nd. What?
Oh, hey.
I had a little awe moment there, like, how is that possible?
I knew we had a fellow Sag in here.
There you go. And second thing is that you all were invited to bring an object, and maybe you did and maybe you didn't. And I forgot to bring my object because it sits on my desk and I look at it and I play with it when I'm at work all the time, so it's that integral. And it's also a stack of little Legos. Yeah, right. Oh, wow, exactly. What? Okay. So one of my favorite indoor rituals is making coffee in the morning. The fragrance is familiar. I know what coffee is. I know what it is for. It is something I make while I am still waking up. The smell of coffee is made from many different compounds released when the beans are roasted and then ground. Coffee smells like coffee. Most people would know it if they stuck their nose in it. Of course, because the beans can smell toasted, smoky, burnt, nutty, bitter, sweet, chocolatey, and many other adjectives. Heat from roasting changes the sugars and proteins inside the bean. Grinding breaks the bean into smaller pieces and gives those compounds more room to escape and expand into the air. The fragrance of coffee reaches us before the cup reaches our lips. So I adore the fragrance from freshly ground beans. If the coffee is good, I stand there for a moment with the lid off the grinder and breathe it in. Sometimes I'm so thrilled I make my spouse smell it too. I don't know the names of most of those compounds, and I don't need to know them to enjoy my coffee. Still, knowing so much is happening makes the coffee seem both more understandable and at the same time more mysterious. Okay, for those of you who don't drink coffee, and I know there are plenty of you, I appreciate you hanging with me through that. We often imagine awe as something reserved for a rare, overwhelming experience. Here in the desert, during the part of the year when sun-baked days send us looking for the cool indoors, we might assume we won't experience awe as much because it's nature that brings us that experience. The smell of redwood tree sap baking in the sun, the carpet of yellow flowers from a Palo Verde tree, going for a walk and seeing little quail chicks so tiny they almost seem semi-transparent. However, it turns out that one study found that nature was involved in only about 27% of remembered awe experiences. Only about a quarter. So that's what we know now about awe. It turns out there are a lot of studies happening around this. But it does mean that we experience awe lots of other places, including the kitchen. Perhaps it's in the coffee, a slice of bread, a spice jar, or maybe it's even further afield, held in a pencil, a Lego brick put together interestingly, a key, or the ordinary items that you brought with you today through invitation or just because we always carry objects with us when we leave home. You have a name for those objects. We need things to have names. Names help us find things, ask for things, organize things. But once we know the name of something and can describe something about its purpose, what it does, we can believe that we have finished seeing it. A pencil is for writing. A jar is for holding something. A Lego brick is for building. A key is for opening a lock. Those statements are true, but they are not the whole truth. Names for things are a shortcut. There is, for example, no sunrise or sunset. No sunrise, no sunset. As Neil deGrasse Tyson states, the Earth rotates such that our angle of the sun falls below the horizon. The Earth rotates. In old textbooks, we learned that gravity is a number, 9.80665 meters per second squared. And no, I didn't know that. I had to look that up. That number is useful, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places after the decimal point. So it's kind of exact, isn't it? But the gravity we experience is not exactly the same everywhere. And it is not perfectly constant throughout the day. It shifts very slightly with altitude, latitude, the distribution of mass beneath us, and the changing positions of the sun and the moon. There are tiny, measurable variations in local gravity. Could we say that reality fluctuates? The reality that we think that gravity is stable and we always know how it's going to respond and what that number is? Scientists choose a number that lets us calculate gravity. We couldn't build bridges or launch spacecraft without some simplification. The problem begins only when we forget that we simplified and the fact that gravity does fluctuate. So we can take a moving reality, average it, name it, and begin to believe the name is the thing itself. As Tyson also says, we are stuck with language from our own perspective rather than language from what's actually happening. Names are necessary, but they can cloak reality, and they can make it harder to experience the totality of a thing. So that pencil, it may carry the memory of a grocery list written by someone we love, or a doodle made during a boring meeting, and it is also slowly consumed by use. The spice jar may hold a precious family recipe, or the first dish someone learned to cook, and it too needs to be refreshed. The Lego brick may become a wall, a spaceship, or the missing piece in an imagined city. I tell you, I had no idea you were going to bring Legos. So that's just, I love that. I love that when that happens. So what can help us remember that reality is not as we categorize it, and that reality is ever-changing? Maybe awe? I know you're all surprised I said that. So awe may help to widen our attention, allowing us to hold knowledge and understanding and our emotions together. Sometimes we're afraid that explanation, compounds in a coffee, will drain the mystery out of things, make it less meaningful. That the opposite can happen. The more we learn about bread rising, cheese aging, music moving through the ear, memory forming in the brain, the more remarkable an ordinary experience may become. A child smells baking bread and says, "That smells good. Can I have a piece when it's done?" A baker knows a bit more, knows something about making sourdough, fermenting flour and water, the temperature, the time, and moisture needed, stretching and folding with their hands. The baker says, "That baking bread smells delicious," with wonder that simply combining water and flour can make dough sour. Dr. Michael Amster is a physician and meditation teacher. And he says one morning he was making pancakes for breakfast, which is one of my favorite foods. He'd made pancakes many, many times before, but this time he found his attention was drawn to watching the bubbles prick the surface of this solid batter. He shares, "I had this orgasmic experience where I felt my whole body tingle, and I got really excited. I had an awe experience equal to being at the edge of the Grand Canyon. Deep attention to an ordinary event produced awe. A microdose, a small dose, but still awe. So I know you have that thing you might have brought or that object, and if you don't, that's okay. I'm going to just have us do one that we can share. So I invite you to settle for a moment. I'm just going to do a quick contemplation. Take a few breaths. Notice your breath coming in and leaving. You can soften your gaze or close your eyes if you'd like. Just let your body relax. And bring to mind a fragrant food. Coffee, lemon, orange, grapefruit, Stetson cheese, blue cheese, baking bread. Let it just vividly fill your senses. Notice its shape, texture, color, temperature, smell. Now allow the name of that thing to loosen. Before it was its thing, coffee, bread, cheese, fruit. How did it become that? Imagine the ingredients from which it came. Imagine the grinding, the mixing, the fermentation, the heat, the aging in a cool, deep cave. Imagine the tools that helped it become, the hands that rotated, picked, sautéed, the artisans or cooks' decisions. The earth participating in its growth. The journey from where it came to where you could buy it. And go deeper. Imagine a galaxy within it. Molecules, atoms, quarks, waves. Imagine the empty space within it, the space between the molecules, the space between the atoms. Imagine it dissolving, becoming one with all that is. Now imagine it coming back together again. As waves, quarks, atoms, molecules coming back together. Slowly forming into that object. See again its color, its shape. Rest for a moment in the simple strangeness that all of what you imagined is what that object is. And come back to the room now. Set the object aside. Take another deep breath. Slowly open your eyes and come back into this space. Thank you. You might have felt awe in that moment. But when I first did this and I imagined the object that I was thinking of, which was a Lego brick, dissolving into atoms and the molecules and the quarks and the waves and disappearing basically into nothing, something in my brain went, whoa. You might have felt awe, but what you did just participate in is the opportunity to cultivate a chance at awe by focusing your attention on the mundane, an everyday object, one of hundreds that surround us all the time that we often don't even pay any attention to. So awe can change us for the good, for the better. Small studies have shown that 5 to 25-second practices of awe, microdoses as they're calling them, are linked to less anxiety and depression and greater well-being. As author Florence Williams writes, at times I become complacent about awe, and that's a sorry state to be in because isn't experiencing awe a kind of hedge against stasis and malaise? I invite you to refuse to let what you presently know become the limit of who you may yet become. We don't need to sip our morning coffee or beverage on the lip of the Grand Canyon, though that's pretty awesome. Awesome. We can practice deep attention with any common object, staying protected from the heat by being inside. Through gratitude for being cool and comfortable with central air, we can practice deep attention to our environment. What is air conditioning anyway? And no, I did not go look that up. But it was a question that came to mind. I was like, I need to go look it up. What is air conditioning? Awe does not ask us to abandon reason or the pursuit of knowledge. It asks us to let knowledge and attention together open the door wider. Awe does not ask us to agree with everyone and everything that we hear, but it asks us not to mistake our first explanation for the whole explanation. We know that thing, so that's the thing, and that's the thing, and that's it. It asks us not to mistake our first impression of a person for the whole person. So may you practice deep attention, even in small doses, but in generous measure, enticing awe to come knock at your door. Let the ordinary world be useful. And sometime this week, I invite you to stop for a few seconds to look at a thing in your house again, to sit and consider it deeply, where it might have been, how it came to be, all of those who helped to make it come to be. Notice the feelings that arise. This is a wonderful world. Amen. Namaste. Please rise in body or spirit for one of our favorite hymns, number 1064, Blue Boat Home.